Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship at 1631 Ford Parkway in St. Paul, Minnesota. We meet every Sabbath from 11:30 a.m. to sunset. Please join us some week if you're in the Minneapolis area. This week's video is going to be on Esau is Edom. We see that 4 times in the Torah. We see that he is Edom, he is Edom, he is Edom, he is Edom. But is Edom Rome? The rabbis think so. The Christians don't really have a comment on this. And does the Edomic system morph into the harlot and this Chrislam system? So we're going to argue that today. We're going to be citing many verses from Obadiah, which is the shortest book in the Tanakh. And so, according to the Christians, it's just poetic doom songs. That's all it is. And this Edomic nation vanishes and then reappears in the end times mysteriously. They really don't know who they are and what's going on. Whereas, according to my Jewish friends, they have great commentary on this. So we'll see that today and see what's going on and why they need to be burned and Chrislam needs to die out. So this is from Obadiah 1:18 from the JPS, and all of the verses will be from the JPS today. And the house of Jacob, the Judeans and the southern Israel, shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph, the 10 tribes, wherever they happen to be, will be a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. I'm saying that's Chrislam and whatever it is of the Roman Catholic Church in the end times, for the Lord hath spoken. That's from Obadiah. Am I castigating all Roman Catholics? No, I pray for many of them. I love many, many Roman Catholics. They are believers. Am I sick to death of the Roman Catholic leadership? Absolutely. They're sick pigs in many cases. Pope Francis is encouraging horrible things, and we'll state more of those specifically later. Sexual abuse, he covers it up. Pedophilia, covers it up. Flawed doctrines, he preaches them. Anti-Semitism, it just goes on and on and on. But I pray for their people, and we should be praying for their people. There are many loving believers in the Roman Catholic Church, but not in Chrislam. So at some point in time, you're going to have to come out of her, my people, and leave her before she's burned. This is St. Malachi's prophecy, so we're going to look at that first, then we're going to go into Daniel, then we're going to go into Revelation 17 and then Daniel. So St. Malachi lived from 1094 to 1148. Many of his prophecies were rewritten, so every pope got more beautiful and more intelligent during the first 500 years, but the last 500 years they've been highly accurate because it wasn't read for a period of time and then they just published it. So he's arguing that the last 5 popes would be Pope John Paul, the sixth would be the flower of flowers. So he took the coat of the flowers, the fleur de lis. Then of the half moons, so that would be the full moon, and that is John Paul the first, because he came in basically a month later on the full moon and died on the full moon. Then the toil of the sun, well, that was John Paul II, and that was the toil of the sun. So he was born on a full solar eclipse, and then on the solar eclipse, and he died on the solar eclipse. Petrus Romanus, we're arguing that that would be the last pope, and it would be Pope Francis. According to St. Malachi, he's saying, in the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will reign Peter the Roman, who will feed his flock amid many tribulations, after which the seven-hilled city will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge the people. The end. So it's very interesting how these prophecies work out. He does not cite another prophet, well, they are a false prophet, and that's interesting that I stated it that way. Um, so the main thing is Revelation describes that same burning of the harlot system this way. Then he said to me, the waters that you saw where the whore is sitting are the peoples, crowds, nations, and languages. The ethnos, so to speak, from the nations. And the 10 horns that you saw, and the beast, I argue that's the Antichrist, the Therion. That would be like a yeast-like lower form of animal life that seems to just overpower the world. And they will hate the whore, the Roman Catholic Church, Chrislam, bring her to ruin, leave her naked, eat her flesh, and consume her with fire. For God put it into their hearts to do what will fulfill his purpose, that is, to be of one mind, 1666 mind, and give their kingdom to the beast until God's words have accomplished their intent. And the woman you saw is the great city that rules over the kings of the earth. That's Revelation 17:15 through 18. Daniel argues it this way in 8, and he is citing, no doubt about it, Greece attacking and destroying Medo-Persia, but he's also arguing that this is the end times, and I'll show you those verses that cite both. So first again, on the left-hand side, that is the Antichrist, the beast system, a globalist system attacking and destroying the Roman Catholic Church, the harlot, the Chrislam system, which is also a globalist system. We are monarchists with Daniel down below. Daniel 8 describes it this way. And it came to pass when I, even Daniel, I had seen the vision, that I sought to understand it. And Gabriel said to me, understand, O son of man, for the vision belongs to the time of the end. And that would be the Va'et of the end, Kates. And so Va'et is that time thing. It's consistent throughout the Old Testament. When you see that Va'et HaKates, it's a way of stating this. Notice it, eschatologist, this is big. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what will be in the latter time of indignation, for it belongs to the appointed time of the end. La Moed, like the festival, the Moedim, of the end of Kates. And that's another way of stating the end times. The latter time before that was Acharith, Acharon. If you've ever heard the term eschatologist, it matches up from the Greek eschatos to the Acharith, Acharon, which would be the end times. They're the same thing, Greek to Hebrew. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors have completed their transgression, there shall stand up a king of fierce countenance. That's the Antichrist, the beast, and understanding stratagems, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and do, and he shall destroy them that are mighty, and the people of the saints. Yes, he's coming after the saints. And through his cunning, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. And in time of security shall he destroy many. He shall stand up against the prince of princes. That's a way of saying Yeshua without saying Yeshua in the Old Testament. But he shall be broken without hand. So yes, once again, it does state clearly that this is Yavan, which would be Greece, and then Medo-Persia, which would be those two kingdoms by those animals. But it also states all of these times consistently, the end, the end, the end, the end, the time of the end. And as an eschatologist, I can't argue with those citations. So it's then and now. This is an accurate depiction of the beast burning the harlot. The beast has these horns and the different heads, and they will burn her and eat her. And then the picture on the right-hand side is a modern picture of that, of her being thrown into the fire and probably eaten after that. So this is that epic showdown in the end of days between these two systems, these two globalist systems, before the monarch, Yeshua, the King of Kings, shows up. Now, why do we get to burn this harlot, this Chrislam system? Because according to Leviticus 21, she is, the Roman Catholic Church, this Chrislam system, is the daughter of priestly Judaism. So here's what it says. The Cohen is not to marry a woman who is a prostitute, a zona, who has been profaned, or who has been divorced, because he is holy for his God. Rather, you are to set him apart. That's what holy means, kadosh, as holy, because he offers the bread of your God. He is to be holy for you, because I, Adonai, who makes you holy, am holy. The daughter of a Cohen who profanes herself by prostitution, zona, again, profanes her father, and she is to be put to death by fire. Doesn't say ola offering, but it's like an ola offering, and that's very similar. That's what you would do if my argument is correct, that the Roman Catholic Church, this Chrislam system, is the daughter of priestly Judaism. You would have to burn her based on the Torah. We need to look at the beast system for a moment and the clash of the systems. If you are part of the globalism of the beast system, taking the number of the 666, you are part of the Antichrist system. It may sound like a conspiracy, but as you saw in Revelation 17 or in Daniel 8, these are the clashes during this time frame. So you want to be against globalism, 666, against nationalism, which is Donald Trump, and he means well, but he's Donald the Trump. He's trumpeting nationalism, which foments war. And then also you want to be a monarchist because our Yeshua, the Messiah, is coming, and that's what you want to stand with. Once again, it's a 666 or a 616. I don't know what the stigma means in John's time on Patmos Island, but I do know that you will have the 10 horns and the 7 heads, and it's -3, which means that there will be 3 locations that the Antichrist runs. Berlin's part of this, so just be aware of that. And when you look at that animal, it reminds you of Berlin also, just by the animal itself, or by Germany. So we need to look at Chrislam just for a moment and then move into Obadiah. And so Christianity is an important world religion. Is Roman Catholics, are all of them Christian? Maybe, maybe not. Some are, but not all Christians are Roman Catholics. So that's from Britannica. What I'd like to argue is that as they might be Christians now, because many of them are godly, Jesus-professing people, but in these end days, many are going to follow the Pope. Many different types of people will follow the Pope into this harlot system. And I don't think that you can be one with Chrislam harlot and also one with Yeshua. Jesus says it this way. So let's take his words. So you will recognize them by their fruit. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. Only those who do what my Father in heaven wants on that day. So you're going to see it later on, by Yom Hahu. So just see that that's what that sounds like in the Greek. Many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we prophesy in your name? Didn't we expel demons in your name? Didn't we perform many miracles in your name? Then I will tell them to their faces, I never knew you. Get away from me, you workers of lawlessness. That's people that are anti-Torah and anti-Bible. But the main thing is on that day is symbolic of the judgment day. And that's what he's telling them during Judgment Day. These people are joining into Chrislam. They're kissing the Pope's ring. And these Betty Robeson, James Robeson, Kenneth Copeland and his wife and others, and Tony Palmer way off to the right-hand side. He died right after this was done. So he got everybody together and then he mysteriously died. It's amazing. Hell does not exist? Huh? And then Pope Francis also said, I don't remember any fire in Paris with Notre Dame. We need to talk about unity. So he's causing these problems. So eventually Chrislam, his system, this Edomic system, will be burnt by the beast system. This is from Israel Wire. The Pope slanders those who are calling for strengthening national sovereignty and protecting borders. All nations are the result of integration of successive waves of people or groups of immigrants and tend to be images of humanity's diversity while being united by values, common cultural resources, and healthy customs. Once again, God is not into black, white, or brown-skinned people. We're all the same in God's eyes. But there are ethnic differences, ethnos in the Greek. So there are ethnic differences. There's nothing wrong with that. But the Pope is saying in the current situation of globalization, the nation state is no longer able to procure the common good of its populations alone. The common good has become global and nations must associate for their own benefit. There you go. That's what he's saying. He's bringing together Chrislam. Here's Rick Warren coming in to coexist with the Pope, and Hillsong is coming in. And so it's a uniting of the terms Christian and Muslim, and they're all coming together. Keep in mind that a good Catholic prays on beads, and so does a Muslim. And then this is a man named Dr. Brian McCall, the editor of Catholic Family News, that is saying the Pope is preaching contradictory doctrine from what the Bible is, and he's accumulating harm. This is a crisis in the Catholic Church right now, based on what the Pope is doing. Prominent clergy and scholars accuse Pope Francis of heresy in an open letter. They're saying that the Pope is saying, rather, a Christian believer can have full knowledge of divine law and just voluntarily choose to break it in a serious matter, but not be in a state of mortal sin as a result of the action. He's heretical. And so he's preaching the diversity of religions are willed by God that's listed in this open letter. This is bringing this fight, this end times fight between Esau, Edom, Chrislam, we call it, and Jacob, which is we're part of Jacob. We're believers in Yeshua. He is a son of Jacob. And according to William Beeston, the Roman Empire is the empire of the Edomite. We're into Obadiah. And I'm arguing that this is the doom of Edom, of Chrislam. This is a doom song. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom, and Esau is the brother of Jacob. There's that family fight going on there. We have heard a message from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the nations. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I make thee small among the nations. Thou art greatly despised. And according to Rabbi Meir, Obadiah is an Edomite proselyte. Yeah, he was brought into the Edomite family as a proselyte. He was forced in probably through slavery, but and his comment is very interesting. From within itself, the forest is destroyed by the hatchet. So it looks like Pope Francis is the hatchet destroying his own forest. The pride of thy heart has beguiled thee, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, thy habitation on high, Marom. So Marom is not Shemaim, which is heavens, way up high. Marom seems to be just above the earth and move on to the moon. And that's that area right there, the Marom. So it's not heaven, it's above the earth. And so this would be more satanic in some ways. And I'm comparing this to Isaiah 14, a satanic phrase. Who shall bring me down to the ground? Mocking God. Well, according to Isaiah 14, Satan says, I will ascend into heaven. Above the stars of God will I exalt my throne. Yet thou shalt be brought down to the netherworld, to the uttermost parts of the pit, according to God. It all has to do with the fight, this Edomic. Okay, so if you go to the land of Edom, you will see goats, lots and lots of goats, and hybrid goats, which would be Azazel and Pan and all of these other things. So Izim and Serim, these are goat-like spirits, and so we see that with the Azazel, the Yom Kippur service, and other things like that. We see this goat-like factor that's involved in this in Edom's spirit. He has a goat-like, demonic, Azazel-like spirit. The doom of Edom, getting back to Obadiah 1:4 through 6. Though I make thy nest as high as the eagle, Hitler had his eagle's nest, and though thou set it among the stars, remember the lunar landing of 1969? I will bring thee down from thence, saith the Lord. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would thou not steal till they had enough? If grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some gleaning grapes? How is Esau searched out? How are his hidden places sought out? 7 and 8. All of the men of thy confederacy have conducted thee to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have beguiled thee, and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread shall lay a snare under thee, in whom there is no discernment. Shall I not in that day, that's that phrase I've talked about before, Yom Hahu, that is that day, that's the judgment day, saith the Lord, destroy the wise men out of Edom, and discernment out of the mount of Esau. So according to rabbinic commentary from the Milstein edition, on that cataclysmic day is verse 8, and that's from Radak. According to Arbanel and Malbim, this verse begins anew the description of the destruction of Esau in the end of days. This will be unlike the conquests endured by Edom in other times, in which there were still wise men and mighty warriors among the Edomite people, capable of limiting the losses. But in the end, however, Edom will be bereft of wise men and men of valor, and its annihilation will be total. That's Malbim. Getting back into Obadiah, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be destroyed, to the end that every one may be cut off from the mount of Esau by slaughter, for the violence. Violence in Hebrew is Hamas. Yeah, you know who's attacking against Israel. That's Hamas, the violent enemies. Done to thy brother Jacob. There you go. Done to my brother Jacob. Yep. Shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou didst stand aloof, in the day, Bayom Hatu, that strangers carried away his substance. And it's not Bayom Hahu, I'm sorry, it was just a Bayom. It's that day. Okay? Foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast as one of them. But thou shouldst not have gazed on the day of thy brother in that day, but it's Bayom, of his disaster. Neither should you have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day, Bayom, of their destruction. Neither should you have spoken proudly in the day, Bayom number 5, of distress. Thou shouldst not have entered into the gate of my people in the day, Bayom number 6, of their calamity. Yea, thou should not have gazed on their affliction in the day, Bayom number 7, of their calamity, nor have laid hands on them of their substance in the day to steal their things. Number 8, of their calamity. And that's, calamity is spelled out like Edom. It's real close, really, really close. It adds a yud in there, which would be adding 10, judgment, to it. So calamity. Neither should you have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that escape, neither should you have delivered up those of his that did remain on that day, And that was biome number 9 of distress. So you'll see all these biomes in here. As an eschatologist, I see that building and building and building to the number 10, which is final judgment of Edom. So rabbinic commentary on verse 14 is you acted wickedly when you stood by the crossroads when many paths converge in order to capture any Jewish people fleeing the enemy. So as Israel was destroyed, Jerusalem specifically, they laughed and mocked and celebrated during that time frame. So your culpability increased when you stood over the destruction of my people, i.e., when you extended the destruction through the generations by persecuting and murdering many of the refugees from the exile you inflicted upon them, and by incarcerating others of their remnant in your horrible prisons and dungeons. That's Arbanel and Mitsudos. Continuing on in Obadiah, for the day of the Lord, that is Bayom number 10, is near Cherev, very, very close, upon all the nations, as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee, thy dealing shall return upon thine own head, for as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the nations drink continually, yea, they shall drink and swallow down, and shall be as though they had not been. But in Mount Zion there shall be those that escape, and it shall be holy, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. That's 15 through 17. Commentary on this from the Milstein edition is, just as you slaughtered by the sword, shall you be slaughtered, and just as you destroyed Jerusalem with a fire, you shall be afflicted with fire and brimstone from heaven. Arbanel. 16. Just as you celebrated with food and drink over the destruction of my holy mountain, so shall you, and all the nations who are evil like you, yet drink from the cup of affliction. And that's from the Targum, from Rashi and Radak, continuously and ceaselessly, until all of the wicked among you have been annihilated. Radak. Interesting. So you can see the cup and the cup of the whore. Remember that? The harlot, she drinks from the cup, and then she is destroyed. And it's very, very similar to Revelation 17, and then very, very similar to Daniel 8. Obadiah is talking about Rome and Edom being burnt because they burnt the second temple. So in the end times, Rome, Edom pops up again and is a major player because they burnt the second temple. Rome will burn. And there is a Catholic prophecy, as I stated, from St. Malachi about this. Finishing out with just the last few verses here. And the house of Jacob, the Judeans in the southern Israel, shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph, the 10 tribes, wherever they happen to be, a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. Yes, none remaining of the house of Esau. For the Lord hath spoken, and they are of the south who possess the mount of Esau, and they in the lowland of the Philistines, and they shall possess the field of Ephraim, and the field of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess the Gilead. So, commentary on 17 and 18, they will ignite them in flames as easily as a fire ignites a pile of straw. However, they will not be consumed immediately. Rather, they will be destroyed slowly through a long, tortuous process, as something of substance is devoured slowly by fire. That's from Ulsich. Even those Edomites who escaped the hand of Joseph and flee, as well as those who are elsewhere when this great battle takes place, will be eradicated from the face of the earth. For their destruction is the decree of God and is not limited to natural means. That's Ulsich again. And the last two verses. And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel that are among the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath, and from the captivity of Jerusalem that is in Seraphad, shall possess the cities of the south, and Savior shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. This teaches you that the throne of the Almighty is not complete until he exacts retribution on Amalek. So that's from Rashi and Exodus 17:16. So we know Amalek is that problem, and he has to be excised. Those are the last verses, but here's commentary on it. The exiled nation of the 10 tribes of Israel, who wandered to the lands of the Canaanite nations, and onward until France, maybe Germany too, as well as the children of the kingdom of Judah, who were exiled to Spain, shall inherit the cities in the southern portion of old Eretz Israel. And according alternatively, the exiles of the northern kingdom of the 10 tribes will be those who inherit the land cited above in the previous verse, and those who were expelled from the southern kingdom of Judah. The exiles of Jerusalem will recapture the cities in the province of Judah to the south, and that's Radak again. As Rome burned in 64 AD, so will they burn again. And as they burned Jerusalem They burned in 64, but it won't happen just once. It'll happen twice. As Nero supposedly fiddled, well, they burned. We've gone through a few seals already. We've gone through seal 1, 2, 3. 2012 was seal 3. I know that. That was part of a prophecy. We're waiting for seal 4, which would kill 1.8 billion people. Seal 5 is massive, massive killing of Christians. Hunting and stalking of Christians. That's what it is. Before we even go into the Great Tribulation, these are the birth pangs. Seal 6 would be asteroids falling from sky, fire and ice basically, and then a great earthquake down below. We're waiting for this satanic super soldier to awaken and go out and start killing. And they seem to be awakening right now and starting fires. They're starting fires like this. This is Burning Man, which occurs down in the southwestern United States every August. And so these people are lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, from 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 4. So we see the paganism and we see how they'll become super soldiers in burning. Now, I want to show you this before we're done. Just a quick slide that we did not see a new moon. We didn't see the sliver of the moon on Nisan 1. We didn't see it for IR 1 either. So that's 2 months in a row to start off the Jewish New Year. Now, it's not just Jewish, it's God's New Year. It's written in the Torah. But we have not seen these new moons 2 times in a row. So we don't really know what the calculations are right now. We've been celebrating Passover already. We've been celebrating some of the other festivals, first fruits and unleavened bread. But we haven't seen a new moon yet this year for 2019, which is very, very interesting. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. I could not find a verse that talked about a concealed new moon and how that would affect us prophetically, but it's very interesting. So that's the end of the video. Remember one more time, I love many, many of the Catholic people. They're wonderful people. Many are believers, true believers, but it might be time for them to come out of her, my people. It is getting very dangerous to be a Roman Catholic in the harlot church.